basket with the thousands. Casino would become champion of 67. And then he's a Westman. The basket with the thousands. Casino would become champions. Celtic way, wait for the ball from side to side, and then Celtic try to hide, but wait for the ball from front to back.
Hello and welcome to episode 84 of Celtic Rumours TV, the Bawz and Bovril podcast with your hosts Mark and myself Paul. Join us tonight. We have Terence, that's Ter161 from our forum page to the podcast at www.celticrumours.co.uk. You can also check out all the links to the podcast in the description below. On the show tonight, we will look at yesterday's Glasgow Derby against Old Firm Rangers. End of season awards were held at Celtic Park yesterday. I'll look ahead to the weekend's game against Hearts. Of course, we'll be doing live chat reaction throughout the show. So if there's anything you wish for us to talk about, please let us know in the live chat. Firstly, I'll hand off to Mark for a few shout outs.
Thanks very much, Paul. A few shout outs to the usual guys, Tim Alloy, Richie and his family. We John United Ireland, and Campsey boy, as I said the other night, Paul, he's got a wee new addition to his family. Terence will be coming on. I see there's Brian in as well. That Brian is a nervous wreck. Did you see him on the live chat yesterday during yesterday's game? I don't usually get that nervous, but see doing that chat, no, I'm a bag of nerves watching Celtic playing them now.
But they making nerves in that chat.
So did they. And she was meant to be joining us, but it's up to, I don't know, Paul. We can only surmise why you forgot to say that he was coming on. But he's out with his missus, so he's probably doing a bit of grovelling after his shenanigans last night and that. That's it, Paul. I've just got on. I'll go and get Terence on, right, bud?
So before yesterday Glasgow Derby, Celtic was 6 points ahead. A win or draw would be enough to put Celtic in pole position to bring the league title back to Celtic Park. The game finished 1-1. It was a game of two halves, Celtic controlling the first half and the Old Firm Rangers controlling the second. Yota opened the scoring for Celtic. I don't even remember who scored the second goal for Rangers. Some great displays by Joe Hart, Starfelt, Taylor, McGregor, all contributing to make sure Celtic remained 6 points clear. With 3 games remaining and a 21 goal difference, it now looks that Celtic are in full control and the league title is in Celtic's hands. The stats for the game were Celtic 9 shots to Rangers 14 on target. We had 1 to Rangers 5. Possession was 51 to their 49. 428 passes to 422. Accuracy of the passes was 78% to 73%. Fouls 14 to their 9. 3 yellow cards to Celtic and 4 to Rangers. Welcome, Terence, and thanks for stepping in for Welchie tonight.
No worries.
Thanks for coming on here.
It wasn't the control game, Terence says. Yesterday, like we missed fair few chances in that first half. We could have had the game wrapped up.
Yeah, fully agree, Paul. I thought the first half was fairly even in the play, but Celtic certainly missed a couple of really good, solid chances. I mean, Jota probably had a bit more time than he thought with the header, even though he took his goal fantastically well. Maeda, no matter what way you look at it, he kind of pulls out of the header. I think he kind of sees McGregor coming, and he kind of, I don't want to say chickens out of it, but he doesn't go wholeheartedly in for the head. And just, all in all, it could have certainly been maybe 2 or 3-0 up before the break. But second half for me was I said it to Mark there even last night. You said it yourself. It was all Rangers, like it was all Rangers. I mean, I thought Celtic were shocking in the second half, to be honest. And I was having heart failure here at home. I had to apologise after the game and all to the missus, because I was effing and blinding like there's no tomorrow in front of the television, and she was going, "The small fella, he'll hear you. He'll start following you now in a minute." They were driving me up the walls, like Celtic in the second half, the way they were playing. It was like 2 totally different teams between the first half and the second half. But thankfully they got through, and I think, to be fair, the draw, probably, as much as might like it, is probably a fair result at the end of it, because Celtic dominated, or Rangers I should say, dominated the second half.
Mark, for a player to come out and say on Celtic TV that he was tired after a long season in Japan and nearly 6 months playing with Celtic, for Ange to start them in such an important game, like, you have to question. I know Ange's saying like they get a rest at the end of the season, but it's clear that Hayate has run out of legs.
It's easy enough to say that, Paul, that they'll get a rest at the end of the season, but that's what all the sports science stuff and that's meant to be looking after.
But we have the players.
When the players, that's the thing about it, Paul. I don't think anybody I think a lot of people would predicted that Ange would start him, but I don't think there was many fans would have had Hatate in the starting 11.
No,
because as I've said, the guy himself came out and said that he's tired. We can see it in his performances, and I mean, you've got guys already. There's guys writing him off, kind of thing. But you've got to cut them some slack.
A rest in the summer would do him good, like, but
it shouldn't be. It should be the team. See, when he came out and said how he was feeling that, Paul, that should have been the end of his season. You get what I mean? That should have been. The guy already played a season in Japan. He's come out here. He's shown us he's a good player. He's going to be a good player for us in years to come. So he shouldn't have been near the team, especially yesterday, Paul, because even the game before that, he was the same, wasn't he? He didn't really turn up. So I think, as you say, it's a bit of a mistake for Ange. I think it probably did cost us a lot in the game, because it's not playing with a man down really, but it's just, how better would it have been having somebody else in there that was up to scratch, up to fitness levels?
Terence?
Yeah, I fully agree with Mark. And there's nothing to say, Paul, that the sports science people haven't said to Ange, look, this guy's running on empty. And if you're an opposition midfielder and you're hearing, we've all heard that he said he was physically and emotionally exhausted. You're rubbing your hands playing against this guy. Like, in the first few games that he played, he was super. But you can see the guy is just exhausted. And we all know from playing a bit of sport, whatever sport we played, when you're tired and when you're not in it, that's when your touch is gone. That's when you're just that few yards. Like, he couldn't track any runner. He for his first touch in a lot of cases was miscontrolled. He wasn't as good at passing as he has been in the first few games.
You're also prone to pick up serious injuries when you're in that kind of frame of mind terms.
Big time, Mark. But that's what we said. That's the reason why you look at the likes of McCarthy and James Forrest and these boys, because they're not up to fitness and they can't get fit, and they are picking up knocks continuously. And like, as you said there, Paul rightly said, they now have a squad where they have a Turnbull, where they have a Iraguchi, where they have a Beaton, where they have other players. Like, I would, fair enough if you wanted to stick Hatate on the bench and say, look, if I need you for the last 20 minutes, you'll get 20 minutes out of him. But to ask him to try and dominate the midfield for the whole game, certainly in the last 2 derby matches, he's been found wanting. And I just mean it from exhaustion. As a player and technically wise, he's very, very good, and he looks very, very solid. But Ange does need to kind of go, look, yeah, the guy needs a rest. And this thing of having to say, he can have a rest when the season's over. You know, you have a squad now that you can bring in your David Turnbulls or the guys I mentioned, and rest Tati. There's no need to run the guy into the ground. Like, he's already there. Like,
What Brian is saying, perhaps some players we have are not so good or as reliable as we think they are. Perhaps we are kind of accepting this because how bad we were last season, Mark, and now we're on top of the table.
I mean, with Hattati and Maeda, we've got to remember they've come in here after playing a full season. And Terence has said there as well, we've seen enough of Hattati. We know that he's a good player in the games when he came in and he was kind of up to scratch, up to speed. So I don't think we're kind of accepting mediocrity just because it's better than what we had. I think Hattati, I think after the summer, once all these players have had a rest and ready to go again, we've got a long rest this time as well with no qualifiers to play. I think you'll see totally. Even Maeda, I don't think Maeda's really. He's energy and that, you can't fault him for that, but I don't think he's quite firing on all cylinders now either, Paul. If I'm honest, I really don't.
Not kind of what we saw of him.
No.
Terence, is he?
no, but we saw something similar, Paul, with Callum McGregor probably a season or two ago, where he basically played a whole season with Celtic. He had one of these championships with Scotland, or he played something with Scotland, and then he came back in, and he was being written off as well. He was being written off and everyone was saying like McGregor had a season there where he played something 60 or 70 games or something crazy. He was the most in Europe he played. He was a player that played the most games in Europe. Like, it has to take your toll, and it's Mark saying there. We're talking about Japanese lads playing a season and a half. They've also come the other side of the world. Like, they're bound to be physically exhausted.
And especially as well, Terence, with the way they play. I mean, it's non-stop running for them kind of thing. So it's not as if they're just coming in to be like a kind of number 9, just waiting for the ball to get punted into the box team and things like that. It's part of their game. The big part of their game is their kind of what's that word? Energy and stamina and things like that.
If you ever look at Hattati when he's been taken off, he looks exhausted. Like, he looks like the sweat is pouring out of the guy. He looks like he can hardly walk off the pitch, let alone run off the pitch. Like, as I said, when we were before the winter break, we were all saying, God, we didn't have the squad. But like, you have your Turnbulls, you have Iraguchi, you have Beaton, you have even James McCarthy. There's Rogic, there's O'Reilly. We have loads of guys. You don't need to run a guy into the ground anymore. You just don't need to do it. Like,
see, the thing about, I know it's probably something to do with his fitness that he's not getting into the team or that as much, but I mean, he's sitting on the bench, right? McCarthy, seeing that second half, for me that would have been ideal
for him, Mark.
Ideal for McCarthy, because see that kind of, when we were under pressure for him, McCarthy's been used to that kind of his career, defending that for Wigan, even Everton against the bigger team. Do you know what I mean?
We've seen ourselves, Mark, for the Terence, the Irish teams they don't have a lot of possession. Like, a lot of time we're throwing our backs to the wall in big matches. Like, and we've seen over the years James McCarthy putting in shifts like this for Ireland.
Yeah, but also as well, Paul, James McCarthy has something that the other three midfielders don't have, and that's he has the physicality and he has a bit of a nasty side to him. And you need it in those games because they have it in that Lumstrung. And like, Stephen Davis was 38 years of age. He strolled around the field yesterday for long periods of time with a pair of slippers on him. Like, in Celtic midfield of the boys that started yesterday, for me, are grand when it comes to the majority of games in the SPL. But if you go into Europe with that system and you go into or the big derby games like that, like the Rangers changed their formation after the first game because Celtic battered them, and since then in the three games to me they certainly the last two games they've dominated the midfield, and Marcus said this on numerous occasions. If you win the midfield in these games, majority of times you win the game. And Lundstrom again yesterday, they have bags of time in the ball. There was very little pressing for me on their midfield. If you look at certainly the goals, and they certainly targeted Greg Taylor yesterday. And I like Greg Taylor, but they certainly targeted him. They continually ping the ball to his side, whether it's a height issue, I don't know. But like James McCarthy, Paul, you're right. He does that job. He comes in, he breaks it up. He does nothing fancy, but he's got a little bit of a physical side to him as well. And that's probably why they brought on Beaton, I'd say. But they need that, because Callum McGregor at times, he's in the 6 role, but he tries to push forward because he can see the game sometimes if it's not going Celtic's way, or if it is drifting way, that he has to drive forward. And obviously he's very good at doing it, but then it leaves space at the back. You need a disciplined guy to sit there and do that. And you know what I mean? That's why a fit James McCarthy would be ideal. Now, whenever he's going to be fit is another question, you know.
Something there that Terence tipped on there, Mark, space in the back for their goal. You know, we can blame Joe Hart for getting beat at his near post. For me, if a keeper, if there's a shot in near post, what I used to do, Mark, is I used to save it with my legs. I'd never dived out to the bottom corner of a near post, because the chances are you're not going to get it.
Aye, keeper shouldn't be getting beat at the near post, Paul.
I think Joe Hart should have went with his legs there. Like, I've seen a lot of keepers over the years. Fraser Foster used to do it. David De Gea used to does it for Manchester, where at the near post they actually use their legs instead of their hands. I would blame him for that goal, but I'll also throw a bit of blame on Yotta, Mark, because we've said this numerous times on the podcast that Yotta does not track back.
No.
And it was the run of Xhaka that thing. Radisson pushed in, which I thought the defence was too tight, and the whole right hand side of the goal was just open. You know, Yotta should have been tracking back there for that goal. And if Yotta was tracking back, Mark, the chances are he could have pushed Xhaka out further, and that shot mightn't have even got in.
That's something that Yotta just doesn't seem to be interested in, Paul. And you've got to, I mean, we keep talking about if he's going to sign in that. He's still a young guy in that as well, Paul, but I've said it before, he's nowhere near the finished article, Paul.
No, but like,
that's part of that's part of it as well, that he's not tracking back. And I mean, he's putting in a shift in the attacking sense, but he's not putting in a shift like as a team player for, as you're saying, the tracking back side of the game and putting in his defensive duties.
But Ralston was left 2 and wonder, Paul.
He was definitely, because if you see Terence, Ralston tucked in first, and then he was trying to track back Xhaka then when the ball was passed to him. Do you get me?
Because Kent had the ball, and he was drawn to Kent, and your man went around Kent, and then he squared it. And if you watch the pitch, if you watch it from the goal outward side, you can see Jota 25 yards behind play. Well, that's all the more reason, if Celtic want to play this way, that they do need a very, very defensive-minded midfielder to sit there, because he might bring the cover that's there to help Ralston or to help Taylor yesterday, because Maeda tracks back all day, but Jota doesn't do it. And listen, I'm not being funny. If we can all see that, opposition teams can see that. You know, and definitely, I fully agree with you with that goal, Paul. As much as Ralston got blamed for the goal, there were certain people on the forum yesterday said that Ralston is not up to Celtic standard, and for some strange reason they said Starfelt as well. Now I have no idea what game they were watching yesterday, but however, that's a different kettle of fish. But Ralston was left with, as you said, 2-on-1, so he's drawn to the ball and your man slips him in. Now with the keeper, I agree with you, Joe Hart, you would expect him to save it in his near post, but you know, I argue anyone with a 2-on-1 like that, if Ralston goes for that Saka fella and he leaves Kent straight through, everyone's going to hammer him for that. But he stands up Kent, he does what he's supposed to, he slips the ball in. I mean, I don't care what defender you are, you want to be some rocket of a defender to be able to get back and defend that. Like, you need your winger, you need help from your wingers to come back. You just need your help. Jota doesn't do that.
I thought Ralston had a good game up against Kent yesterday.
Well, I'm just saying what was on
the I saw that. I mean, Kent is one of your danger players. There's no doubt about it. He's maybe been a bit off the boil kind of thing, but he's one of the players that when he gets the ball against us, I'm kind of off. You know what I mean? There's always a couple of times when he gets by the full back and you think this is going to. He's one of the players that can hurt us. Do you know what I mean? But I thought Ralston had a good enough game against him yesterday.
I did too, Mark. But I thought Ralston had a solid enough game. But he also needs help in that situation. You need help from your full backs. Because if you watch it, if Maeda goes over there, the ball rarely comes down the side. But when Maeda goes to the other side, they nearly go to the side that Maeda isn't on at times. Because he's going to track back all day long. Whereas Jota just doesn't do that.
Also, look, that's I'd call it nearly a title winning save, marked by Joe Hart in the second half. That
Some
was,
save, it really was.
like we've seen a lot of saves from him throughout the season, important saves, but I think that save yesterday was one of the most important saves, because if they would have scored that at 2-1, like it's done 3 points, like the pressure's on.
And it was a double save, Paul.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he made the initial save and then he got up enough to catch the ball. There's Stubbsy in the chat as well. Evening, Stubbsy. Just give you a wee shout out before you go in the huff again.
No, it was a brilliant save, in fairness, for Joe. It's a pure reaction save.
But some of that passing about the back, and that's really big. That's getting beyond a joke.
Well, I was just about to say that, Mark, like the mistakes yesterday, but I noticed then when Joe Hart went long at one stage, that and Ange then went ballistic on the sideline.
I noticed that as
Joe
well.
Hart pitched the ball long. He went ballistic on the side. So it's clearly instructed to Joe Hart to play that way, and the defence, even though at times we're just putting ourselves.
I know. Even my wife was saying, what did he keep doing that for? And I said, that's what Ange's telling him to do. It's this modern game, the way you play out for the back and that. But if there's a time and a place for it. You don't need to do it every time just for the sake of it. Do you get what I mean?
But the other side of it, Mark,
spring the surprise on them now and again. Pump it up one of the wings and let Jota or Maeda chase it down.
But at the same time, Mark, you don't need to pass it 10 yards. Joe Hart could still ping it 30 yards. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't. Mm-hmm. The thing I don't understand is, like, there was situations yesterday where Rangers basically took man for man, and Joe Hart had the ball, and Rangers literally stood there and were going, right, pass it, go on, pass it. And Celtic did pass it, and it's something that Mark has said on here numerous occasions. If most of the players were that skillful on the Celtic team, they wouldn't be playing with Celtic. Do you know, they just wouldn't, like. And like the one where Joe Hart fell over when the ball came back to him and he fell over, I genuinely said, oh my God, that's a goal. I thought if the Rangers fella swung it, hit it first time, it was in the net. But especially with the last few minutes of the game to go, just to put yourself under pressure, just to say that we have to play like this, I have to agree with Mark. There's a time and a place where you just go, look, I'll take the abuse from the manager. I'll take the grief for the manager for the next 30 seconds, and just clear the lines. You know what I mean? Because there had to be space there, Paul, because Rangers had pushed right up.
They pushed right up man for man, like, yeah. Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. You're putting that high press on you, so why not surprise them with just a punt up the park to see? I mean, look, we're going about the speedy where Jota's as bad as Maeda, Kyogo and that, so why not just put a ball up the park to let them all chase it down and see where it goes? Especially,
Mark, as well, when we had Marcus up there to hold up the ball and let the runners play off him then. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I thought see once Giacomakis, Rogic and who else was it that came on at the same time? I thought when they came on, that was us we were going to go and win that. And that's when it started. It went the opposite way. I thought we were kind of the better team at that point, and then, but I said it, Paul, after the game, it was screaming out for Giacomakis. See, like the Maeda shot that he missed, the one that went over the bar. Giacomakis is putting that in the net all day, every day for me, kind of thing. And I thought once they came on that we were just going to go and win that, and it just the game just get flipped the other way around. And I still thought Rogic done well when he came on, to be honest.
But we seem very lost in midfield, Mark. There seemed to be a massive gap between, like, the forward line and the obviously the forward line, the defence. There was Rangers seemed to win every breaking ball in the midfield for some strange reason in the second half in particular, and certainly after the changes. And not only that, but they seem to have so much time. Like even for their goal, you man. Like that right fella, is it right? I think it's right. What is it? Right in our field and one or two others. They were passing the ball, but they were passing the ball under no pressure. There was no squeeze on them, and it was very strange. I don't know. I was the same as you. When you see the changes coming on, you're like, okay, lovely. Three serious, good quality players that can come on. You know what I mean? And then the bad that came on later on as well after that. And you're looking for the reaction. And for 5 minutes, Celtic up the ante, and they looked like they were going to get a second. Like you after that, it just seemed to die a death, and they seem to lose a lot of ball in the midfield for me. Like,
Uh, my man the match yesterday, and Terence signaled out there, like, I don't know what match some people were watching. My man the match yesterday was Starfelt. 8 headed clearances, 8 clearances by his feet, 5 tackles, 1 out of 5. 5 ground rule tackles, 1. He committed no fouls. He let no one drill past him. I thought, Terence, that Starfield, it was one of his best performances in a Celtic jersey. Yes, I think he just controlled that defence yesterday.
I thought, Paul, it was his best performance considering the game he was playing in. You know, he did everything he was asked to do. He won his headers. He battled. He's gone a lot more physical. We've said that, a lot more physical. He's become. He looks a lot more comfortable. But some people just have this mindset that he had a few bad games there a couple of months ago and he's rubbish and that's it. Regardless how good or bad he plays, he's
like a hitting man kind of a thing.
He's always going to be the whipping boy, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
He's always going to be the whipping boy, regardless how he plays. But I thought he had a very, very solid game yesterday. To be fair, Paul, the same as yourself. I really did. 1 or 2. There was one. Obviously, there was the moment between himself and Joe Hart, which you don't like, but it's like Mark said. This is the way they've been told to play, whether it's the right way or the wrong way. You know what I mean? But I thought Starfield had a very solid game yesterday. I said I don't know what the person in the forum was watching. They were clearly watching a different game to what I was watching, but everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mark?
I agree with you, Paul. For me, Starfield was my man of the match as well. And that's like a guy in the forum saying that to us. It's one bad game and they're no good enough to play for Celtic. But the guy's having a great game and he's still not good. He's never good enough to play for Celtic. See, you're not going to please everybody all the time. But I thought Starfield, as you said, Paul, he was everywhere in that defence and he was solid. His performance yesterday is what we're kind of used to for Cameron Carter-Vickers, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it was Starfield's chance, like, day to be the kind of main dominant defender. I thought he had a great game. And that one, I don't know if you've got the referee thing to get spoke about, Paul, but I couldn't believe that guy didn't get booked for a tackle on Starfield. Seeing he was running up, he came bursting out the defence, running to get into the Rangers half of the ball, and just get brought down.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know it was a poor performance, and look, but Mark at least beat and booked their players for tackles rather than what we saw of Bobby Madden 2 weeks ago in the Scottish Cup final, letting these tackles go by. But at least he did book. There was 4 yellow cards there yesterday, so look, I'm not going to throw the name game on beat, but there were some tackles there, Mark, that deserved to be.
There was one of the yellow cards for them. I'm sure I think it was actually in stoppage time at the end, Paul. I don't know who it was.
Yeah, but it still took the first booking to be a Celtic.
Aye, but Paul, see the guy that get booked then, it was still, he should have been booked a lot earlier on in that game, and then he's walking the yellow card tightrope. I think it was maybe Goldson. Did he get booked towards the very end of the game?
Down the end, yeah.
And
that should have been booked in the first half.
That's what I mean. So it's all right saying he booked him, but he booked him in the 91st minute, whereas he should have been booked long before that, and he made other tackles that were bookable offences. So again, if they all taught up, things could be different.
Well, if you look at it, Paul, sorry, Giamakis got booked. Yeah, it was a booking, but after that he was out of the game because he knew if he made another tackle.
Same with Radisson as well. He was out of the game kind of a lot early too to play in the tackle, Terence, wasn't he?
Yeah, and you could see him on a couple of occasions where he would normally kind of might fly in. He had to stand off rather than going for a tackle. So Mark is right. It's fine that Goldson gets booked in the 91st minute, but if he's booked in the 56th minute, for argument's sake, or 38th minute when he's meant to be booked, he's not going to be half as physical or as half as, there's not going to be as much force into what he's trying to do because he's conscious if I do another one, I'm gone here. Whereas in the 91st minute, it doesn't matter. They're allowed to get away with it for so long, you see. It doesn't matter at that stage.
I think as well, looking at the last couple of days and the first season on the Ange, I think the players are tired. I think it's been a long season on the Ange, considering how intense he wants to play, Mark. I think the players are tired, and that's why the drop-off is coming in the second half.
I think that's what it is.
a pre-season under Ange, a proper pre-season for these players under Ange will be a great benefit to them.
100%, Paul. I totally agree with you. I think it's just fatigue's creeping in.
Mm-hmm.
Because we spoke about it when Ange did come in, about the kind of shock to the system of the players that were already there, getting used to this new level of high intensity training and stuff like that. So even the players that have been at Celtic for a few years, it's still an eye opener to them to be training.
Exactly.
And, do you know what I mean? It's new to them. When Ange said it, and I don't mean as if I'm some great authority, but I expect a lot of injuries through the training. That was happening. We don't hear much of that happening now, so the players' bodies are getting more used to Ange's methods and training and stuff like that. And once a summer between just the training, no games to be played, Paul, I expect us to come out the traps flying next year. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I think nerves as well, Paul, play a part. Because there's a lot of players there, apart from the obvious, Callum McGregor, maybe Joe Hart has obviously won something. But there's a lot of players on that pitch that have never won anything, let alone a league title. And they know how close they are. And they know that, they're so close to the line, especially in that game. Though fellas are worried about making slip-ups. I mean, like, if you go through the Celtic team that started yesterday, there aren't too many league winners, regardless of whichever country they were in, have won a league title before. You're obviously your McGregors and Beatons and Rogic's. Yes, they've won it. Joe Hart has won it. But there could be a lot of nerves on lads that have never won a title as big as this. So that's surely going to be in the back of their minds that we're so close to getting this over the line. And yeah, fatigue and all that is 100% going to take its toll this time of the season with all the games they've played. But I do think in the back of the minds there's a little bit of there's obviously nervous tension there as well, that to go, okay, I'm going to be maybe a little bit safer than I would normally be, or I'm going to be a little bit more cautious than I'm normally going to be, just because they know the prize is so close. Like,
interesting stat actually on Joe Hart. It was his 600th club career game in professional football on Sunday for Celtic. All these years ago, he started his career with Shrewsbury, and that was his 600th game in a professional jersey. Like, some achievement, really, Mark. Into for goalkeeper, and he's still. I say, Mark, seriously, we could get another two years out of Joe Hart.
I think so as well, aye. Danny, I mean, the stats speak for itself, didn't they, Paul? Any sport to make 600 professional appearances it's something to be really proud of, really, isn't it? And I know he spent a lot of time maybe sitting in benches over the last couple of years, and I've said it on here, Paul. Do you think Joe Hart ever expected to be winning another league title and getting into playing the Champions League as a first choice goalkeeper ever again? I mean, he's grabbed the chance to come to Celtic, and I'm not saying he's got to get called up into the England squad or that, but he's rebuilt his reputation over the last season for Celtic.
Most definitely. He, for me, like, I know we're going to talk about the awards last night with the club, like, but Terence, like, for everyone, when we signed Joe Hart, like, people were writing him off because he had a bad spell when he was at West Ham. He was on the bench with Spurs. Like, he's never really, I would say, felt appreciated at clubs. But when he came to Celtic, he said he sat down with Ange and taught him respect of him. He said, "You're going to be my number one." And I think as a player such as Joe Hart, that's what he wanted to hear, Terence, that he was going to be number one. The fans took to him. You know what I mean? He's feeling the love again of football since he came to Celtic.
Oh, 100%, Paul. And listen, let's not make any bones about it. He's one of the main reasons why Celtic are where they are in the league. One of the major reasons.
Because I guarantee you, Terence, that goal yesterday was gone in. If we had Barkas or Bain or Hazard in goal, those three keepers we had last season, that goal was gone in yesterday that he saved.
Well, Paul, we wouldn't be in this position if we had any of those three guys in goals.
Exactly.
Because some of the saves that Joe Hart has performed this season, and not only that, it's the way, and Mark has mentioned it numerous times on the podcast, it's the way he's organising the defence in front of him. And you've got your Ralstons and Taylors and your Ranoviches and Vickers and Starfelt. He breathes confidence into those guys because they're confident in, if someone does happen to get by them, that he's going to save it. There's a reason Celtic have only conceded, I think, 19 goals in the league or 20 goals in the league. Yes, the defence deserves massive credit, but the keeper behind him deserves enormous credit for what Joe Hart brings on the field as well as off the field. Like as you said, you're a defender and you're a defender and you've got him behind you. It just breeds confidence. That you can literally, there's times you can nearly hear him through the television shouting at the defenders and roaring at the defenders. He's always non-stop. He's always non-stop talking.
Because I was on to sorry, Terence, go on.
No, go on, I'm just saying that was, you know yourself, Paul, being a goalie. That's massive for a defender. If you've got a guy constantly talking to you and encouraging, it's huge. Like,
because I was listening to Ange's thing yesterday, Mark, and Hart was one of the players he singled out yesterday, and he said that save, he says, just shows that Joe Hart is a top keeper. But not only on the pitch, he said, off the pitch, he said, before the Hibs League Cup final game, Cal McGregor's club captain obviously gave his speech, but he said it was Joe Hart's speech after Cal McGregor that inspired the players to go out and win that League Cup, because he said he's a winner, and he bred winning into his speech. You know what I mean? Like we said numerous of times here, Mark, that the Celtic keeper is not under pressure throughout the game, really throughout the game, Mark. We've seen that by our clean sheets this season, that Joe Hart barely has a save to make, but when he needs to make them save, Mark, he's there.
Aye, that's it, Paul. Celtic keepers don't, well, we play a lot of kind of sweeper keeper with him, but in general they don't have much saves to make, so they're spending a lot of the time during games just basically kicking their heels. And it's that's a sign of a good keeper, Paul, when they can keep their as alert and be as sharp as that for when they're called on.
Like the 3 games remaining, like this obviously puts us on track, Mark. Is it done in your opinion?
I can't see us losing the league now, Paul. No, no, especially with somebody like Ange, and just what you're talking about there, Paul. Guys like Joe Hart, McGregor, Rogic, even James Forrest, doesn't he? He pipes up in the dressing room and when the chips are down, kind of thing. I mean, he's got experience. Spit it out again. He's as experienced as McGregor is when it comes to winning trophies and stuff like that. There is a lot of big personalities in the dressing room that can keep the eyes on the prize, kind of thing, and keep folks' mind on track.
Even J. Marcus kind of came out yesterday, like after the match, like, and he practically said, "Mark, it's done." He said they needed to come here and win. And I think what a lot of Rangers fans are forgetting here, Mark, is that like this is the first manager I ever saw in a Rangers history that's come out and said the title is done. I mean,
they don't.
Rangers threw everything at Celtic yesterday, Mark, to win. You know what I mean? They threw everything. They need to win. They threw everything. It was up to them to break us down, and they couldn't. You know.
No, and see what Terence said at the start of the show, Paul. See, like if one of your earlier chances had been in to make it 2-0, it's a totally different game then. If that had went to 2-0, even like just would be talking about, it doesn't mean that they'd have went on and scored an equaliser. Well, obviously not an equaliser, but the goal. It doesn't mean that they would have hit the post. But if we went 2-0 up, for me that game would have been a totally different game for what came after the second goal. It just did that thing, Paul, we were saying last week with Ross County at 1-0. It's just edgy, because anything can happen. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. When you're sitting in these games at 1-0, it's just a case of anything could happen. We've seen it, dodgy penalties, stupid tackles, anything can happen in the game when it's 1-0. But at 2-0, you've got that wee cushion. If Celtic threw away a 2-goal lead this season, Paul?
No, we didn't. No.
Do you know what I mean? Even to a draw, have we ever been 2 goals in front and ended up drawing? I can't think of one off the top of my head.
The league,
but
Terence,
of course, in the league we haven't. He said.
Oh, no, not in the league. Not in the league. I think Betis is the only time they've done it. Maybe in the game, I could think.
Yeah, when they came back, I think was it 3-2. I think Terence, is it? Or we were.
Yeah, I think Betis was the only one up there. But in the league they haven't.
And that shows you when we've got that kind of 2-goal cushion, we slip into kind of like a robot mode kind of thing, and that's when we start playing and dominating the game, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But we don't need to keep pushing for a second. Although if chances come, we're getting in there and getting a third, a fourth. That's kind of the way Jan seems to do. But 2-0, just keep your cool, and you don't need to press as much. You don't need to chase as much. You're in control of the game then, and let Celtic build up their rhythm. Start playing the way we know they can play.
Exactly. Of course, look, the game was kind of overshadowed yesterday. We know they made a statement saying that Celtic fans threw stuff at Rangers supporters, but it's clear it was their terms that it all started from the opposite side. And it looked to me that Celtic fans were just throwing back what was being thrown off them. I think it's about time now that Celtic just say, we don't want you in the stadium anymore. I know we're saying bring back the proper cloth and stuff like that, but if there's going to be trouble like this in the stadium week, every time we're going to be playing them, I just say forget about it.
Well, it's either one or two things, Paul. You either bring back the whole lot, or you keep the stadium to the home support. In both cases, this 800 crowd of Oasis fans at either ground is a load of nonsense. And secondly, make no bones about it, Rangers had that statement drawn up before the game even kicked off, because they identified that Celtic basically, if you want to call it, attacked basically elderly and disabled.
A family section.
Yeah, but the elderly and the disabled, two of the most vulnerable categories you can ever see. But yet, there's still no mention of the Celtic physio's head being bust open by an object, and all the rest of the nonsense that went on. So, like, they either bring back the 7,000, or have it all Celtic or all Rangers in the stadiums. Other than that, let it go. But I have no doubt in my mind, Paul, that that statement was already written out before the game even kicked off.
Because I saw
it's the same thing every. See, when we get away in Europe, they get into bother with the policy in Europe, it's always the elderly and the disabled fans that get it. Every statement they make is the exact same thing.
But that's what I'm saying, it's the most vulnerable.
Aye, kind of.
I saw a great thing on Twitter last night saying my father got attacked at thing. He got hit by a bottle. Well, he must have some HSE service mark over there, because that man was healed within the space of 2 hours after that game. You know, like all his scars were all healed and everything. You know, he was all cleaned up. You know, it's just shocking, Mark, that a club just wants to kind of name and shame Celtic every single time we play them, like, isn't it?
Well, that's what defines them, but Celtic can stand alone without them, Paul. They can't stand alone without us. That's why they cling on to this old firm thing. What? Right, see, Celtic fans, Celtic's made it clear we don't advocate. Right, they're all going about, well, why do you keep renewing the trademark for it? So that other people can't go and make money off it. That's common sense, that if you're a trademark that people can abuse to make money off, if you don't keep that trademark, you're going to keep it. That's the simple reason why Celtic keep renewing the old firm trademark. But I've said before, we can get into the things about the 5-way agreement and that, but still we don't constantly have to define ourselves by what they do. They define themselves to react to what we do. No matter with everything.
They came out kind of straight away and they said, well, I think you're forgetting what happened.
Aye, they never came out with a peep with that. Even Celtic said they got in touch in private to apologise. That should have been splashed over the papers. Douglas Park should have been out making a statement saying that, a full apology to Celtic staff, their players, that the Glasgow and the...
He would have been seen as weak, Denmark.
That's the thing, aye.
Exactly, exactly.
Never mind being weak, but Paul, that's be a man about it. Stand up for... If you're willing to stand up for all the things that are right, Paul, if there's things that go wrong, you've still got to take responsibility for it.
You can't constantly, Paul, cry wolf.
Exactly.
You can't keep saying, oh, they did this and they did that and they did this. And when it comes to your turn and you go, okay, his glass has been fired in the goalkeeper's goal mouth. A Celtic employee has been hit in the head. Coins have been thrown at the Celtic players. This has been done. You can't just go, oh, well, I'm not going to say anything about that, but we'll look into that. We'll investigate that. We'll see. As soon as they apparently say it gone the other way, go, oh, up in arms. Oh, they should be doing this. We should be doing that. Oh, it's our disabled. It's the older crowd that we're being attacked. It's going, pal. You can't just pick and choose when you want this to be an issue. Like, it's an issue. As Mark is saying, Douglas Parks needs to come out and say the behaviour of the Celtic fan or the Rangers fans is totally unacceptable. Apologise to the Celtic physio or whatever position the guy was who got hit in the head, and Rangers are making a full investigation and put it in the public eye, public domain. Job done. Then you can come back and you can argue this point.
Exactly.
You can't say nothing about a certain incident and then all of a sudden want every man and his dog to investigate a different incident. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to sweep the Celtic one under the carpet, and then they're trying to blow this one out to be like it's World War III. Like,
Get back to the time the guy ran on the park and confronted Scott Brown.
Nothing was done.
Whatever happened about that?
Nothing. He was brought back into the stand.
That's right,
Lee Griffith
was supposed to be banned, Mark, for a lifetime ban, and we saw players there in
batteries getting flung at Lee Griffiths and stuff like that.
But even the clip of the second goal, Cameron Vickers' second goal.
You can see there's a guy that tried to run on the park. Another Rangers fan jumped on him and pulled him back on.
Yeah.
Why isn't Stewart coming over going right? You're gone. Like, he's making an attempt. No, I think he half chickened out of it personally myself, because he takes a leg over and he kind of stands there for a second, and then there's a fairly big Rangers guy, to be fair. He caught him by the headlock and dragged him back. But he goes back to see that there's nothing's happened. How is that okay? Like, do you know, you can't just pick and choose. Well, this blame Police Scotland and blaming everyone in the world. Oh, our fans were attacked X, Y, and Z, and then no more than 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, the carnage that occurred in Ibrox for everyone, it was clear to see. But yet that's all hush hush. Like, do you know? I mean, seriously, grow a pair of balls and admit when you're wrong on both sides. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem if Rangers complain if there's incidents like that occurring in Parkhead, but you have to look at the incidents that have occurred in Ibrox in the same light, the same vein as well. You can't just say, "Oh, we there's an apology. It was a quick text message or a quick phone call." That's not the way to do it. They're supposed to be this big, all-powerful, almighty club. Come out and admit
the way they're all going about we're an institution and all that kind of push and things like that turns as if they're a higher class to every other club and all that quintessentially British rubbish. Do you know what I mean? And yet they act like it's I mean, we kind of going about Celtic's PR being terrible, right? Because we're no fighting back with this, but I would hate for us to have a PR people like they've got.
Well, there's a shot.
He is DOP.
DUPs. But I'm reading what guys and that. There's people in Ibrox that don't like the way that he does things. You know, I don't think he's part of anything to do with like Dave King. So see, like all the Dave King side of things. I think I'll give Dave King you do. I think Dave King wants to. I mean, Dougie Park is just like a big daft fan being stuck as chairman and letting all the daft. It's like us letting the Green Brigade run the club basically, isn't it? You know what I mean? Just letting fans do what they want and we'll stick up for yous kind of thing.
That PR fella from the DUP. I mean, come on. He definitely so.
Imagine Celtic. Imagine Celtic appoint a PR guy for Sinn Féin. Yeah, exactly. Imagine the newspaper headlines and that in Scotland put terms.
Exactly. They'd be carried. Sure, that fella from the DUP is probably so bitter he doesn't even need lemon with his drink. You know what I mean? You know, he's only going to look at it one way all the time.
Aye, and he'll be see the most rabid nonsense that you can read on Rangers forums and that. He'll be leaving that. That'll be his mindset. You can tell. Do you know what I mean? You can tell that he's kind of that. See, like what is that? Follow they all going in that. That's just a pure cesspit. That. You can see that he's probably got an account on that, and it's just pure. Pure. I mean, there was some Tory guy the other week get caught posting on it after he'd been posting all this anti-Catholic stuff and all that. Some Tory councillor or MP. But you can't tell me that because I mean, look, I'll put it to you this way, Paul. That follows one of Rangers' media partners. They pay 25 grand a year to get in there, so you can't tell me that their PR man's not got an account on that.
Hmm. Definitely. Moving on, the club's awards were on last night, and the Manager of the Year awards. Celtic manager and Postecoglou has won Manager of the Year. Came to the club with people not knowing him. The media saying he will be sacked by Christmas. Rival fans saying he'd be sacked by Christmas. 7 points behind in January. Celtic taunted all along to be leading 6 points clear and on the verge of claiming the title back in his first season at Celtic. To me, I think it's well deserved that Ange has won Manager of the Year turns, because the shambles we were in at the start of the season, like we didn't even have a team, losing our first few games, like media writing him off. He's really been a joy since he came to the club.
Oh, listen, he's been. It's nothing short of miraculous, Paul. In my opinion, it's nothing short of miraculous to what he walked into. Like as you said, he walked into basically no team. They were signing Ralston, who we all thought, oh my God, just because we had no right back, winning the first cup, on the verge of winning the league. I mean, it's sensational the way he's basically brought in a brand new team in the bones of a season. He probably had them in about 7 months, brand new side playing very, very exciting football, entertaining, attractive football, and it's not. It wasn't even a contest, Paul, in my opinion, that anyone else would have thought that someone else should have won Manager of the Year, because as I said, he's on the verge of winning the title. He's won the League Cup. It's miraculous what Andrew's done. It's absolutely miraculous, the transformation in that side.
Mm-hmm. Mark, your thoughts on that one?
I don't think there was any doubt, Paul. I really don't. I don't see anybody else. I mean, one of the things is, the only other kind of contest for that was if Rangers going to win the Europa League, you would have to kind of put Van Bronckhorst into a kind of the running for a Manager of the Year, but they voted too early for that to count. But really, for just the job Ange's done, Paul, I don't see anything. I mean, 2 trophies, just I kind of see it for me. I can remember how good it felt at the time when we stopped doing 10 in a row kind of thing. This for me is a kind of bigger even job than what Wim Jansen done, to be honest,
Exactly,
Paul.
yeah, definitely.
That's no taking away from anything Jansen. I mean, Jansen came in, we'd a lot of good players already when Jansen came in. You know what I mean? It was just, Tommy Burns was just unlucky. Jansen came in, added guys like Henrik and that. But what Ange has come in and done, to win 2 trophies. Even it was amazing, Paul, when you think that we won the first trophy of the season.
Exactly.
Because it comes so quick for us in Scotland, that League Cup. But we've done that, and we were just unlucky in the Scottish Cup. We really were. But to come in, win the League Cup and win the league, for where he was July and August, and that's fantastic job he's done, and well deserved his Manager of the Year award.
Mm-hmm.
First a many it'll be, to imagine, exactly.
Paul. But he cleaned up too, Mark. Like throughout the season, like he was winning Man of the Month nearly every month. I think, you know what I mean. Like, Andrew was always kind of manager of the month, like, you know what I mean. So I didn't see why this would be any different, you know. Player of the Year was Callum McGregor. For me, he wasn't my Player of the Year, but I can see why he got it, like considering it was his first season as captain. He's put in a shift throughout any time we were under pressure. He's gelled this squad together with his team talks in the huddle like that. You know what I mean? I can see why Callum McGregor got this, Mark.
I said this on the podcast the other week, Paul. I think I was the only person that said it. To have Callum McGregor for Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. We were talking about it and everybody was going on about Carter Vickers, maybe Joe Hart, and I thought, Callum McGregor stepped up. He's the captain. Like he's took up with Scott Brown. He's but just what I'm saying with Ange, McGregor's played a big part in winning 2 trophies this season. Mm-hmm. For him to take over as a captaincy and lead us to a title that majority of people didn't really think we'd much a chance of actually winning, Paul, to be honest. I mean, I know we John, we was like, we'll win the treble, and even we laughed at him, Paul, but look how close we did come to a treble.
Exactly.
And McGregor, I think again, like I think McGregor's more than worthy a Player of the Year award, really do.
Terence?
Yeah, I mean, they're like he was the vital cog in the wheel, so to speak. You know what I mean? He kept everything around him ticking. You know, I mean, and there was a lot of questions asked about him. Could he take the captaincy over from Scott Brown? Was he the right guy? All sorts of things. But I mean, the guy's led from the front. He's your every week. He's your 7, 8 out of 10. As I said there before, he's your quintessential midfielder. He's top notch. And as I know Mark had said it before, he could play on most sides, Paul. He could play on most
Definitely.
teams. You know what I mean? He and Celtic are very, very lucky that we have him, and he's their captain. And yeah, I mean, he's, as I said, he's 7 or 8 out of 10 every single week, and it's I'm delighted that he's won the Player of the Year. I can understand one or two of the other guys that were mentioned, but considering the season that he came from last season to put in the performances and the way he's played this season, he deserves it. He deserves it 100%.
I think there was no doubt in Young Player of the Year, in my opinion. I think Mark Day made the right choice. I think that had to go to Abada.
Oh, I mean, it's a weird one as well. I mean, see his stats, his goals, his assists. What a debut season for a young lad to make for a club your size, Paul. And I don't know how to say that, Circus, without trying to make it I'm maybe putting him down, but he's not like Scott Sinclair. You know what I mean? Scott Sinclair during the game, how many times did Scott Sinclair get the ball and try to make things happen that you can maybe still stick in your mind? It just seems to be Abada's either a bit non-existent or he's just impact. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
He's maybe no giving you a 7 or 8 every just, you know, he's maybe giving you a 9 one game and then he's maybe doing it a 2 or 3 in the next game kind of thing. But you can't fault his stats. Again, I don't even know what the credentials for getting into that Young Player of the Year is after Buzz pure complicate things on the forum last week. You mind that? But I suppose Abada's just for his goals and assists, Paul, it's as good a winner as any. And I don't. Was there any other real competition? Who was the other nominees?
No, I don't think so, Mark. I didn't even look back, to be honest.
No, they were like down to 4 or something like that, Paul.
Yeah.
I've listened to one of the Clyde phone-ins last week just to hear all the Rangers fans moaning and greeting, and I think it was the night they came out, and even they were a bit suspect about some of the names that were in the final runnings for them.
You know, I think, Terence, there was no doubt, considering the goals he got for Celtic. Like, I mean, he's got important goals for us. I know Mark said a bit of consistency throughout the thing, like, but we have to remember as well that he's a very young lad. Like, he's only turned 20. He was 19 when he came to the club. He was a raw talent, you know.
Oh yeah, he's a stick on, Paul. He was a stick on. Paul, if one of the centre forwards who wasn't a young player, there goes the dishes anyway. If one of the young players, if that was a season international hitting those figures, they'd have been in the run for Player of the Year. So he was a stick on for Young Player of the Year, to be fair to him. You know what I mean? I mean, he's, as you said, he's only just turned 20. He has lulls and highs, but overall he's been a massive positive and a massive plus for Celtic, and easily deserves the Young Player of the Year. Easily deserved it.
Because I guarantee you, Mark, that if we didn't have Ange this season, that maybe Abada wouldn't have been getting into this team. Like if we still had Lennon, we're nearly guaranteed that James Forrest would have been in that position, no matter how good we saw Abada.
Would Abada even beat the club? Well, exactly. Saying that, maybe we do the hand being involved in it kind of thing, Paul, but here's one for you. You've played Jota and Abada both on loan. What one would you rather be signed permanently?
Abada.
Yeah.
See, I would say that as well. I really would. I just think Abada's just going to. Not saying Jota's not going to be a top class player in years to come, but I just think Abada really is something a bit special.
He offers a bit more, Mark, to be honest.
Sorry, Terence.
I think Abada offers a little bit more.
He's
I
a
don't
he's
think
a more
he's
kind
as
of
selfish
he's a more
either.
rounded player.
I don't think he's as selfish either as Yota. Like I saw numerous of times during the season when Yota could have passed the ball and he didn't. You know,
I just think his work rate as well, though, Paul. I think if you watch Abada does track
back. Yeah, exactly.
He does work. He's also the option of playing him through the middle. He can play through the middle. And for me, yeah, sometimes his final ball isn't the best, but neither is Jota's. But I certainly think he does an awful lot of more work off the ball, unseen work, I suppose, if you want to call it that way, tracking back and marking runners and doing that kind of stuff that Jota kind of has a tendency to switch off on. So I think he's a more rounded player than Jota myself personally, and offers more. But again, that's only opinion, you know.
Young Player of the Year went to Stephen Welch, and I found that strange because he's not played in the Celtic B team. You know what I mean? And he gets Young Player of the Year. You know, I thought that maybe Mark, some from the Colts League would have got that, considering they had a proper professional league this season.
It's weird, isn't it? I don't know. Again, Paul, they change all these kind of rules and who can qualify for it, and it comes down to like a list of 4, I think it is, as I said there, and I think you just basically pick one that.
Yeah. You know, but in fairness to Mark, like.
Well, I like Welsh, you know that. I like Welsh, you know what I mean? I'm not meaning anything about it, but I mean, really, these awards are a bit pointless, to be honest, really, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, like, you give it to Stephen Welch, though, Terence. Like, when we had injuries or he needed to come in, he's done well for young lads.
Well, he has done well, Paul. I mean, the same boat as yourself. I was a bit surprised when he did get it, because I think it was showing him up as something like Academy Player of the Year or something like that. I thought it was a strange one anyway. But yeah, look, I mean, Stephen Welch, when called upon, he has done well. He's probably slightly unfortunate that, or from Celtic's point of view, fortunate for us that the two centre halves have been so good, and touch wood have been pretty much injury free for the majority of the season. So he hasn't got much of a run in the game. But you know, I mean, when he has come in, he's done well, and he looks a really good prospect, Stephen Welch, to me. You know what I mean? He's only going to, under the likes of watching the likes of Vickers and even Starfelt, he's only going to develop and get stronger and stronger, in my opinion.
Goal of the season went to Tom Roderick for his solo effort against Dundee United. I'm sure you all saw it, but for me, my goal of the season was the League Cup final. It was Kyogo's lob. I thought that won us the cup final, and I thought that was an astonishing goal. You know,
I thought they gave that goal as goal of the season, though. I thought Kyogo got that award, Paul.
No, it was Roderick got the goal.
Was it? No, but I thought they gave. I saw a report that said they gave Kyogo.
Oh, he got top goal scorer.
All right, I thought they said it was goal of the season was the League Cup.
Top
but I
goal
agree
scorer
with you.
He got.
The League Cup goal was absolutely unbelievable finish.
Mm-hmm. Like, Mark, for me, like, that was the goal of the season. Like, the importance of it was 1-1. Like, that lob alone, like, was just Kyogo at his best. And I think if Kyogo wasn't injured, Mark, he would have scored a lot more goals as well. But then would have Gianmarco's got a run then as well, Mark. Do you get me?
Hold on, Paul. I think there's something went wrong here. No, hold on, Paul. I'm not sure we're still online, buddy. Don't know what's happened here, Paul.
We gone off?
I think we have.
Lads, can you just see that? Can they still hear us?
Can you still see the stream, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
And it's still up and running?
Yeah.
Oh, just keep going then, so.
Yeah, we still are, Mark. Yeah, we're still.
It's not looking great for mine, Paul, so just keep going. As long as folk can keep hearing us. I can't see YouTube now, buddy.
Think, Mark, that Kyogo lob was my goal of the season. Yourself, does anyone stand out for you? I know Tom Logic got it, but
the Yogo one and the Hattati one, Paul, where he beat McGregor at the near post. I thought that was a cracking goal as well.
Definitely. I think we'll do when the season finishes, Mark. We'll do our own Player of the Year awards,
Aye.
we'll discuss that. But as you said, Mark, it's still a bit hard. Like there's still three games to go. Like
I mean, let's be honest, Paul. See if we did have a major crash and lost the league, does Zan still deserve to be manager of the year?
Yeah, exactly, Mark.
I mean,
Exactly.
I mean, think about it. A manager, right? Van Bronckhorst came
I
in.
think, Mark, if we don't win the league now, Mark, it will be one of the biggest disasters. I think,
Definitely. But anything can happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But if it did happen, I mean, the swing that Ange made to get us in front, and then Van Bronckhorst to swung it to get back, and then you could even look. I don't see. That's the thing as well, Paul. I don't think you're allowed. Part of the rules is like in Europe. I think Van Bronckhorst could have won the Champions League this year and still couldn't have got manager in the league if he didn't win the league. You get what I mean? The European stuff shouldn't come into it meant to be or something. I heard them talking about in the radio.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
Aye. But I mean, if we did lose the league, for me, Ange doesn't deserve to be the manager of the year now.
Mark, it comes in as well that he wasn't there for the full season. And that's why he wasn't up for the award.
Well, does that come into it as well?
He has to be there for the full season to win. That's why he wasn't there. That's why it was Steve Clark, Hartley, the fella. Is it Malky McCoy was there for last couple?
Van
That's why
Bronckhorst
he wasn't in the running.
Well,
He's only there since January.
So Van Bronckhorst's first game was their semi-final against Hibs in the League Cup that they went out to, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right, so if he'd won that, won the league and the Scottish Cup, he still couldn't have been up for that. See, that's just it shows you how stupid that system is. But Paul, then didn't it?
Wasn't there for the full season, you see.
But at the same time, you have to remember, lads, there was a manager last year who won 2 cups, and he still didn't.
I know.
Get manager.
That was scandalous. Scandalous.
You know what I mean? So you take it, and it's basically if you're the manager of the Celtic or Rangers and you win the league, there's a 99% chance you're going to win the manager of the year. You know what I mean? As I said, like if you look at Callum Davis last year, how he didn't win that is beyond a joke. Like, but and again, they're picking the manager of the year before the year's even finished. You know what I mean? The Scottish Cup final hadn't been played. They were in the Scottish Cup final. You know, so like there's still, as you gone on to rightly say, there's 3 games left to go in the league. If it was
end of season awards, Terence, exactly.
But it makes no sense. But if it was nip and tuck in the league and there was literally a point between the two sides, and they give it to Ange, and like you said, Celtic lost the league and Van Bronckhorst had won it, how can you not then give it to the manager that wins the league? Like, surely to God, it's 3 weeks left in the league. Surely to God, you give this, you make the awards maybe the night after the Scottish Cup final, because as you said, like you have a Callum Davis who wins 2 cups, probably God knows when the last time St. Johnson won a cup, and he's not manager of the year. And you've given it to Stephen Gerrard a couple of weeks before they even played the Scottish Cup final. See if
Stephen Gerrard had won the 2 cups and Neil Lennon had won his league for 10 in a row, Gerrard would still have he'd have got the manager of the year last year. And the excuse would be, he won 2 trophies. That would have been the kind of excuse. Celtic were expected to win the league. Gerrard won 2 trophies.
But the only thing is, Marcus, Gerrard was to be given manager of the year last year if that scenario had occurred. Gerrard would have been given the manager of the year before they won the Scottish Cup, because the Scottish Cup isn't played for another couple of weeks.
Oh, right, I get you now, Terence, right. Smart arse.
Like, that's why it should be done.
Nobody likes a smart arse, Terence.
But it's like that's why these awards should be done, Mark, when every single game is played.
I think so, Paul. I think so. They're a bit meaningless to now, really. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know it's all to do with sponsorships, but getting these wee plaques. Do you think managers and players not really bother about it?
I would think so, Mark, because I think like it's a personal achievement for them as well, like to be recognised by fellow managers and fellow players.
I think that's the one that players maybe kind of give more kind of credence to, Paul. Like the one that comes from like the other players that play the game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, other stuff like the sports writers and well, I don't think players really bother our backside about things like that because it's just coming
I
down
think
to.
it's one about your peers. The moment your peers vote.
Aye, that's it, Terence. The ones your peers in that vote for, I think that would maybe mean a bit more to them than.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because as you said, you can have a journalist that just, regardless of how good or bad or indifferent a player or a manager is, might just not like them, and he's just
Mhm.
not going to vote for them regardless. Whereas if you've got all the players in the league, and at the end of the day, you come up if it's Callum McGregor is the best player, or if it's Alfredo Morelos or whoever it may be is the best player, and is voted by the rest of the players in that league, that means something to you as a player. It wouldn't mean a huge amount to a player. Well, in a sense, if the guy from the Sun didn't vote for you, but the guy from the Daily Record did vote for you, do you know what I mean? I definitely think the one where the players or the managers, like in Ange's case, vote for that particular individual. Those awards I would think would count for something. The other ones, I would say they'd be happy to get them, but they wouldn't be held in the same esteem as the other ones, I would think.
Mhm. Of course, Celtic just need 4 points from our next 3 games, starting with Hearts on Saturday at 12 o'clock. It's always a tough game against Hearts, Mark, but it's at Celtic Park. I'm expecting Celtic. Look, as yourself and Terence says there, we have enough experience now in this Celtic team. Let's just get the job done. I think they'll have one eye anyway on the
They'll have one eye in the
Scottish Cup final.
But even at that, Paul, just the way we've been playing all season at Celtic Park, I don't see anybody turning up and beating us.
Mhm.
Although it'll be a tough game, but just it's Hearts. It's always going to be a tough game against them. But I don't see anything else but a Celtic win come Saturday. I really don't.
But should Ange know, Terence, actually rest Hayate for this game and bring in Bison, bring on Carter, or even Joe Gucci in there and see what he can do, and give this lad a rest.
I don't think Hatate should start any of the remaining 3 games, Paul, because I just think he's physically exhausted. But I keep going back to the point. I still think Celtic need a genuine holding midfielder. And I would, if Beaton came on the other day and he's the number 1 guy to do that position, I'd start him and I'd play McGregor in the 8, and whether it's O'Reilly or Rogic, whichever one he prefers, in the other position as well. If it's 2 number 8s, whatever way he wants to do it. That's what I would do. I wouldn't be playing Hatate. The guy is a quality player, but he needs a rest. He really does, and it actually becomes a little bit unfair on him, Paul, in my opinion, because
players
fans
are getting on his back now as well, Terence, aren't they? Saying he's not.
He'll go from being a good player to a bad player. Through. I don't mean no fault of his own, but he's just like, if the guy comes out and he says he's physically and emotionally exhausted, you have to believe him, like. You know what I mean? You have to believe him. And we have the strength in depth, as I said, McGregor's, McCarthy's, Iraguchi, Turnbull, Rogic, Riley. These are guys, we could have 2 midfielders and we could have 2 midfields and not need to put in Hatate. So there's no reason to start him whatsoever. Like, just let him rest, let him recover. If you need him, you can always have him on the bench. If you think you need him for 20 minutes in a game, by all means, you can throw him on in one of the 3 games. But for me, I wouldn't start him in any of the games. There's no reason to flog the dead horse. Like
what Terence is saying there, like, there's no need for him to be starting the game, and if he needs to bring him on, bring him on.
I don't even think there's any need for him to be on the bench, Paul. For me, Hatate's season should be finished. Not through any, Terence is saying, not through any fault of his own or anything, like, just for the simple fact that he's just knackered.
Burnt out, yeah.
And we've got enough players in there, even down to the kind of, even we can sit and say, is he going to be good enough? Is he going to be fit enough? And that. If guys like Gucci, Paul, McCarthy aren't fit enough to come on and give 20 minutes,
exactly.
There's got to be something looked at there. We spoke about it earlier, right? Hatate's no fit. I'm with Terence, I said it earlier. For me, that's him. His season should be done and just get him ready to come out with the traps flying next year. We've got enough numbers in that midfield. We've not got any. We're not coming up against any teams that we shouldn't be able to beat, Paul. That's the basic thing. Whether they throw in a McCarthy or a Gucci, I thought he shouldn't be anywhere near it. We've got enough players in there that'll see us through the over the line for the league.
Especially too that we know Hearts will be physical as well, Mark. I mean, they like to go in for tackles as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so do we go Giamarcus up front instead of Kyogo there as well?
I'd go with Giacomakis up front. I just think Giacomakis, Paul, I think he's the best striker at the club.
Mm-hmm.
I just, Maeda, I keep saying that, Paul, Maeda's not a centre forward or striker for me.
Well, those chances yesterday, Mark, if that was Giamarcus with those headers, it was 2-0.
Oh, easy,
I don't
easy.
think he would have missed those chances, you know what I mean?
Header for Maeda, he wouldn't have bottled out of that for a start. The one that Maeda hit out of the bar when it should have scored, I don't think Giacomakis would have missed that. As for me, I said on the live chat yesterday, Paul, it's proven now for me without a shadow of a doubt, as we stand now, Giacomakis is the best natural finisher we've got at the club.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else you think deserves to be starting this game? Does Abada need to come in for Yota? Does Maeda need to be rested, or is there any other changes he would make?
I would. What about when we were talking about the other night, Paul, after I said about maybe starting Kyogo and Giacomakis yesterday? What about in like the midfield three? If I've got somebody like Beaton in there, Turner says McGregor at a number 8 role, instead of looking at Rogic or Turnbull in that kind of attacking midfield role, why not try Kyogo in there? Aye. That kind of free, I keep saying it, Paul, for kind of free, like Lubo kind of role. You just give him the ball and let him work his magic kind of thing. I would like to see Kyogo getting a chance in there.
Like, if you think of it, like, fair enough if he's not going to be using the likes of McCarthy or Gucci, like, show beat on their Terence, put McGregor into Hayati's role. At least you know then that McGregor can cover the centre mid with Beeston and move forward because he has the legs as well to do that. You know?
Oh yeah, I fully agree, Paul, and that's a bang on. Like, Beeston will sit there, and McGregor can come back and he can offer that secondary line of cover if required. Because he's become more and more accustomed to that 6 role, as they call it. So he can come back and he can offer protection when Celtic lose the ball. So yeah, there's like. I keep saying that I think that's the line that Celtic need to go down. I know people keep saying, oh, you don't need to play a defensive midfielder when you're playing with Celtic against all these other sides. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but because I still think when you're playing these inverted fullback roles, for me, it offers that little bit more protection to the centre backs, and it offers a little bit more protection to the fullbacks because they know if they are caught out of position or if they are caught up the park, that Beaton is a very good reader of the game, that he's able to get himself into that position. And he may not always win the ball, but he'll do enough to slow it down, that he'll allow the defence to get back, to get the shape back into the position.
Exactly. Especially too, Beaton will control the game as well, Mark. Do you know what I mean? Like Terence says there, Beaton knows as well when to slow the game down or read the game more so than what we have, you know?
Just getting back to what Terence said there about playing with a defensive midfielder, I agree with you. I don't think we need an out-and-out centre defensive midfielder in every game, Terence. But we need. You know who I'm going to bring up again, didn't you? A Lewis Ferguson, somebody like that. We need somebody that can do that job when it's needed, but when it's no needed, he can still play a bit.
Yeah, I'd love him. I said it a million times. I'd love him at Celtic. I think he'd be ideal for what he needs. He's big, he's physical, he can sit there, but he can play a ball if needs be. He'd be a better footballer than Beaton. He
brings more to the table than Beaton. Beaton's good at what he does, but Ferguson's good at that plus more as well. Turns into it, he can take that on a wee bit further.
Ferguson for me can do both sides of it. Ferguson can
just come in there,
but he can also get forward as well. Like
Stubbs is saying, but we give a lot of space in the rings for that, and he gets nervous. Like when the inverted fullbacks tuck in, all right, the whole process of that is that the wingers are there to cover it, And the reason we're getting caught out is because Yota does not track back. Like Terence pointed out in yesterday's game, rarely we saw Taylor 2-1 yesterday. Like Maeda was constantly tracking back, and when Abada played, Abada tracked back. And that's the one fault I have of Yota. Like you go to the game yesterday, like he's goal, fair enough, he took it well, but was he really in that game throughout that full 90 minutes yesterday? He wasn't really, Mark. You know what I mean?
No. Just what we said earlier, it's exposing the fullback. It's exposing the fullback on that side.
But
it just is. We're just quick here as well. Just quick here, Paul. What Stubbsy's saying about should we play players that are only 1 or 2 games that are short a medal. Clubs can buy other medals, Stubbsy. The players that qualify through appearances and that, they get them kind of free off SPFL or whatever, but the club can buy as many more as they want for players that have been involved.
Lucky Rangers didn't win the league, so because half the team would be getting up. But like that's Mark. When we signed Yota, we said that his decision making doesn't like to track back, and fair enough, he got off to a good start and he started playing brilliantly. But as the season went on, Mark, you could see these things that they said in report were right about him.
Oh, definitely. We've said that before, Paul. It was one of every kind of scouting report we read. They all said the exact same thing, and his wee fancy dribbles and things like that kind of maybe detract for. He's the type of player that gets you off your seat in that, Paul. Do you know what I mean? He excites the fans. He's exciting to watch. But if you're looking at it for what we're talking about for the tactical side of the game, you're spot on. He doesn't offer the kind of cover that. What we kind of think Ange expects for his players.
Yeah, like I'm surprised. Like when
he seems to be the only player in the team that kind of gets away with. I'm not saying he's slacking off, Paul, but he seems to be the only player in the team that gets away with no doing the full job
like
that
I'm surprised, Mark,
the rest of the players are expected to be doing.
Yeah, like there's still a 50-50 chance that he's not going to be here next season. I personally don't think he's going to be here next season, Terence. That's just my opinion. I don't think he will be. But if I was going to sign him, like, I would think there'd be a better winger that Ange actually has out there that would do that role. I know we have a bad and he's still young and stuff like that, but if we're going to sign another winger, I think we should actually scout a bit more and see what's out there before we sign Yota.
I'm sure Ange has done that already, Paul, or the people with him have done that. But it's a very fair point, and I get what you're saying. I was always wondering. I'd be interested to see what you think. Do either of you think that Ange continually changes the wingers to give the fullbacks a break and cover, i.e., when he changes Maeda from left to right, because he knows Jota's not coming back? Do you think, like, if Maeda starts on the right, for argument's sake, and he's covering for Ralston, and then Ange just looking at the game and he's seeing that they're coming down the left continuously and Jota's not coming back?
I think so, because you see that throughout the game as well, Terence, don't you? He
changes 3 or 4 times during the game where you could see Maeda changing things. I'm wondering, is it something that Ange just kind of goes, well, I know this guy's not coming back, or he's not really trying to come back, so I need to give Greg Taylor 15 minutes here of a break. I need to give him some help, and he transfers across. No, that's me just making up something there. Like, it's not.
I know, but you can, but it's a valid point. Like, you know what I mean? Does he actually think he's actually doing that, Mark? Or is it down to the players, or is it down to Ange doing that? What Terence said, bit of both.
In what, Paul?
Like switching.
Oh, no, it's down to Ange. Obviously, it's telling them to do that. And
to give the fullbacks a break. Do you think it's to give the fullback who's on Jota's side, Mark, a break because Jota just doesn't come back?
That's a good point, Terence. I've never thought in that. Honestly, I've never given that a thought, but that's a good point. Maybe it's something to do with that.
And then after 15 or 20 minutes, he goes back over to the other side to give the other fullback a break.
because we
he's
definitely
anyone-
lost. We definitely lost something yesterday when Breda and Kyogo went off. We lost the press, as you would say, like, when the two lads went off. Like, we lost basically, Mark, what Breda brings to the team. Like, he's tracking back. He's team putting players
The energy will
under pressure
chase the
all the
ball all
time.
day,
Yeah,
aye.
you know,
Just
like,
kind of, but even if it had right, we're saying Hatate's went off the boil, but the three Japanese guys, Paul, that's one of the things that they all bring into the team, is that that kind of energy and drive. And one again, Hatate's, that's another obvious sign that he's not at the levels that he was even a couple of months ago. When you watch him playing that and the changes in the way that he worked the press and things like that. And that's for Joe. I mean, I've said it as well, Paul. I'm trying to look up this rule about the medals for Stubbsy there. But the thing with Jota, Paul, right, I'd be happy if he signed, I would be, but if he didn't, I wouldn't be too heartbroken. And we could maybe go and
no,
sign
I'd be more disappointed, Mark, if we didn't get
Carter Vickers
Cameron
signed
Vickers.
up. Aye, I'm the exact
Yeah.
same, Paul. And now that we've got the Champions
No.
League and we've got the money for the Champions League, we could maybe sign somebody maybe a higher level. What Jota's going to be in maybe 2 or 3 years' time, we could go and sign somebody like that kind of level.
Exactly. Like, we spoke with Barry on Thursday, Terence, and we know you were listening at work. Like, but going by the players we have and who's on loan, like Cameron Vickers for me is top priority.
Oh yeah, he's the number one without a doubt. It was, as you said, Paul, it was one of those things a few months ago. It might have been a little bit 50-50 between Jota and him, but I'd say if you asked most Celtic fans now, it's probably, I'd say it's 90+% would say Vickers. I would believe. I would certainly think he's the key to getting signed. If Jota signs, brilliant. It's great if you get to do them, but you need to get Cameron Vickers over the line, because there's too many other, as I say, suitors apparently looking at him. I've seen him linked with Crystal Palace as well today or something like that as well. So they need to hopefully get the Carter Vickers one over the line. Obviously, once the player wants to stay, and as Mark said, ideally get the League One, and then there's this cherry of the Champions League. Surely that has to be a huge draw from, and the fact that he's
And
played.
of course, breaking news as well today came out that it doesn't matter if Villarreal beat Liverpool, but I can't see it. But if they did, it doesn't make no difference to Celtic, as the UEFA came out today and said that Russian clubs are expelled from all European competitions next season due to the war in Ukraine. You may agree with it, you may disagree with it, but that's what they did. So it doesn't matter that results, Mark. If we win the league now, whatever result Villarreal gets, it's a done deal. Celtic are in the group stages next season. The runners-up will go into the third qualifying round instead of the second. Same with the Europa League, they'll move up a round instead of, like, I think it's whoever comes third will go into the fourth. Whoever wins the League Cup will go into the third. You know what I mean? So it's not only for Celtic, Mark. Like, it's a big opportunity for Scottish football as well to progress in Europe. Like, you know what I mean? It gives Scottish clubs a better chance, likes of Hearts, Dundee United, if they get in there. I mean, it's 2 games, Mark. If Dundee United get in, they play 2 games instead of 4. Do you know what I mean? It's a good, like, we'll get Jonas on before the Dundee United game, but it's a big opportunity for Scottish clubs.
But it's not really, Paul, because who's actually going to progress?
But that's what I'm saying, like, you know.
I mean, it's all right to
up
say
the
they're getting bumped up a kind of round in that, but
yeah, but they're going to be playing more caliber teams. Like, they're going to be playing better teams. Do you get me? You know?
aye.
But it's up to the club. It's up to Dundee United if they get through to win these games. That's what I'm saying. But it's a big opportunity for them to do that.
Well, every team's got a chance, Paul, but
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, it's not the best of circumstances, you know what I mean, to be celebrating kind of because of what's happening in the Ukraine and places like that, but it's just, it'll be, Celtic will be in the Champions League, Paul. I don't expect us to do.
The thing about me, Mark, is I'm not I think everyone's against this war in Ukraine. Like, but for me, the penalise the clubs, I think, is wrong because there's not
I told like I see.
Russian players in that, Mark. There's foreign players in that. There's, you know what I mean. There's different leagues involved in these things. Like, you know what I mean. And I do think that's wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Without getting pure into a political debate about it, Paul. But if why is UEFA not kicking British teams out because of what the British Army's doing in other parts of the country and stuff like that? You know what I mean? The Israel and Palestine thing, all these other places that are there's oppression, wars and stuff going on. I don't think it's right to put sporting sanctions on a country when I mean it's just
like there's a big thing years ago, Mark, saying like Terence, you know as well, like sports not about politics. Do you know what I mean? But clearly it is, Terence, if they're doing this. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it is. Yeah, they're obviously setting down a marker. But I'd agree with you. They could have easily just said, look, to whatever Russian clubs are there, because I don't know whether the league system in there is still suspended or if it's still up and running. I don't know. But if it is up and running and it is still being played, they could just simply say to them, grand, you can qualify for whatever, but you're not playing any game at home.
That's what I was just going to say there as well, Terence.
Yeah,
your home game will be in neutral territory and your away game will be your away game.
And like UEFA can basically go, look, you're going to play the home game is going to be played in Seville or Spain or Madrid or one of these places, wherever. But when you're away to whatever team you draw against, and that's the rules. And I'm sure they'd all be only too delighted to do that, because at the end of the day, they're football guys as well. You can be guaranteed there's probably a hell of a lot of them don't agree with what's going on either, but it's outside their boundaries. Sure, didn't even Henrik Larsson's son leave Moscow to go to some team on loan? Mm-hmm. He's allowed to do it because of the rules and regulations that are current. But yeah, it's unfair to penalise the sport like that when, you know, it's out of their hands. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's it for tonight, lads. If any of you else have anything to add, Terence?
No, the only thing I would say is I saw the team of the year, and I heard a lot of people questioning Kyogo, how he got in it. I'd love to know how John Suter got in it. That's what I'd love to know, considering how good Starfelt has been all season, or even as much as it pains me to say it, Starfelt or the likes of Goldson. How John Shooter got in ahead of either the two of them is a mystery to me. But
was Scottish, I suppose.
He spent most of the season injured.
He has, yeah, but he's still in this team. Still in the team of the year, like.
I don't know how they come up with these things. You know,
it's baffling,
I really
Paul.
Don't.
It is baffling at times.
If you're going on performances, Mark, like Celtic have only conceded 20 goals this season, and Starfelt has been part of one of the best. And I said to Barry there the other day, like, Starfelt and Vickers have been the best partnership that Celtic had in a very, very long time. We rarely see mistakes from Denmark. We really see them too giving away silly free sticks that we saw Ayo giving Mark. We saw Julian giving Mark. We even saw like Boyata giving these stupid mistakes away, Mark.
See, when it comes to defending, Paul, they don't make many mistakes. It's when it comes to all this stuff passing about at the back, you kind of see that they're not as comfortable as doing that, and daft errors start coming into their game. But as defenders, I'm delighted with them, Paul. I totally agree. It's one of the best defensive partnerships I've seen at Celtic in a long, long, long time.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So Saturday, Celtic kick off. To get their two hands on the title. 4 points is needed, but I think it's safe to say that I can't see Celtic crumble. We saw the Celtic fans singing champions again, ole ole. I think, Mark, it's fair to say that. That's it from tonight. Thanks to you guys in the live chat. Marks will close the show.
Right, thanks again for everything, Paul. Thanks, Terence, for coming on again, bud. All the guys that joined the live chat, I hope you enjoyed it. The new Eddie's McWilliams. Eddie's a new name in here, I think, Paul, as well. So thanks for joining us, Eddie. We're here usually on a Sunday night, but it was a bank holiday weekend and Paul was smooching, so we put it back to the night. But hope you enjoyed it, lads. Remember, hit the like button if you know how to leave a comment, and if you've not subscribed, please do so, because we're up at 550 subs now, so just keep them up, and me and Paul's delighted about that. So thanks a lot, lads. Hail, hail, good night, and God bless.